Here now is Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells with Talk to Tom, sponsored by Greenway Dodge.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk to Tom. This is the time I get to talk to the viewers at home. It's my favorite part of my job right now, talking to you, the viewer. We started this in 2004 during hurricane season with Hurricane Charlie. It grew into something I did on Facebook for a number of years, and it's blown up so much that their station decided to give us a shot. We take over the airwaves, the powerful WKMG, and we're always streaming on News 6 Plus. So you can, if you miss an episode, you can go back and stream them all. And frankly, I wish you would. Talk to Tom. All right. If you want to submit a question to me, just click Orlando.com is the place to go. Click Orlando.com/Talk to Tom. Submit your question, and we will get you on. I think we've got a great show that you're going to enjoy lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about how weather impacts Florida's sea turtles and how our friends at the Brevard Zoo are working to help those turtles that are struggling. I love this story. You're going to see it in the second half of this Talk to Tom episode. But first, Talk to Tom. It's all about you, the viewer at home, and your questions. So let's jump in with our friend, Richard. Hey, Richard.
What is dry lightning? I moved down here. Neighbors tell me about dry lightning. I'm out mowing my lawn on a beautiful sunny day, and then I'm told, oh my God, get indoors. Didn't you hear that? It could kill you. Real? Or is it fake?
Okay, it's not fake, Richard. Hey, first of all, man, welcome to Central Florida. You didn't say where you moved down here from, but wherever you were from, you had lightning storms too. Probably not what I like to call the voice of God thunderstorms that we have here in Central Florida, but you did have storms. Dry lightning is lightning that is normally associated with a thunderstorm that develops but doesn't produce rain. It's got enough uplift and enough friction in the clouds that you end up with lightning strikes going out, but absent the rain. That's normally what we mean when we say this is a dry lightning storm. Lightning strikes are coming out of this thunderhead, but there's no rain falling yet, with no discernible rain on radar. It could be a situation where the rain is evaporating, or it could be the storm has just not reached full maturity yet. It's already producing lightning, but no discernible precipitation. Now, that does happen, and that's what is called dry lightning. Yes, it's real. Anytime you hear thunder, you should take cover. More about that in a moment. There's also a thing called heat lightning that I argue with people about all the time that's different from dry lightning. Dry lightning is lightning that happens. You can hear the rumbles of thunder, and it's not raining. Heat lightning is what they used to call lightning way off in the distance from the heat of the day, building thunderstorms. But they couldn't hear the thunder. They thought, don't worry about it. It's just it's heat lightning. It's the earth giving off the heat, popping lightning way far out. Well, that's true, but it's lightning. The only reason you can't hear it is because it's more than 10 miles away. Could it still hit you? Yeah, it still could. Most especially if it's maybe 12 miles away and the rumblings of thunder die out before they get to you. The lightning can still strike miles away from the parent thundercloud. So you have to really be careful in Central Florida. So the slogan is, if you could see it, you should flee it. Get inside, take cover. If you hear it, you absolutely have to fear it. If you can hear the thunder, you're within 8 miles of the lightning strike. You could easily die. Anytime you hear a rumble of thunder, take cover for at least 30 minutes. That's the rule. You hear rumbles of thunder, get the kids out of the pool. Get them inside. Now, if you're a gambler and you're wanting to gamble with your kid's life or your life or whatever, you can still gamble on that and stay outside in the lightning if you want to, and probably won't get struck. But if you lose that bet, it's ugly. And for most people, there's no coming back from it. I've interviewed lots of lightning victims, and they all say that even if they aren't killed by the lightning strike, they end up wishing they were dead because it changes their life that much. It's just so bad to be struck by lightning and what it does to you. So be careful. If you have a question for us, we'd love to answer it to you. So our friend Sophia in Satellite wants to know, how worried should we be beachside in Brevard County because of the rising water? Okay, if you've watched any of our newscasts or pay attention to Talk to Tom, I try to make you understand that climate change and global weirdness, as the previous question, is a real thing. Things are changing. I also want you to know that I'm not going to panic, and most people are not going to panic, and we're going to fight this, and we're going to win, and we're going to take it on. Carbon capture is going to change the world and all of our big problems. But your question specifically is, it's not going to be easy to beat climate change, but we're going to fight back. I promise you, it's happening in laboratories all across the country and around the world right now. Steps to battle climate change are happening. But your question is, how concerned should we be? Yes, you should be concerned. According to everything that we find, most of our research, since about 1900, globally, we're up anywhere from 2 to 6 inches in rising water. And along our coast, we're going to rise about 0.05 inches every year for the next 10 to 15 years until we get a handle on this and start maybe cooling the climate a little bit more in the next 20 to 30 years as we slowly turn that ship on climate change. So yes, there's going to be rising water in Brevard County. We're going to have to re-nourish our beaches. We're going to think about building better seawalls, coming up with more dams, more ways to keep the water back until we can get a handle on climate change and try to reverse things for the future generations. So that's the deal. You should worry. You should be concerned. I wouldn't panic, because a rise of maybe 2 inches is not going to totally inundate all of Brevard County. It will lead to more beach erosion, more damage, more flooding at high tides, and more what we call combination flooding. So we'll have high tide, we'll have a little storm, and you get a bunch of flooding that you normally didn't used to get when the sea level was a lot lower. It'll be coming over the highways and flooding up the streets for a while during high tide, hurricanes, things like that, nor'easters, pushing water up streams and across city streets that never happened before because of the rising waters. I wouldn't panic, but yes, in Brevard County, Felicia Flagler, I would be concerned, and I would do what I could to battle the problem. All right, that's going to wrap up this part of the show. Coming up, first of all, if you have questions about the weather, you can submit them anytime. Clickorlando.com/talk to Tom. And coming up in the second part of this show, we're going to be talking turtles. Stay with us. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talk to Tom. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells. We answered your questions earlier. If you'd like to get a question answered, submit it to me. Clickorlando.com/talk to Tom. I would love to hear from you. Right now, we want to talk about an important aspect of our weather and its impact on wildlife, most specifically turtles. Joining us now is Shannon Gann, the Sea Turtle Program Manager with the Brevard Zoo, to talk a little bit more about it. The Brevard Zoo says climate change, which you've heard me talk about, and we feature it every Thursday right here on the powerful KMG, is making the turtles more susceptible to disease. Shannon, first of all, welcome to Talk to Tom, and talk to me a little bit about what you guys are doing with the turtles and how they're susceptible to climate change.
Well, thank you so much for having me and having our Sea Turtle Healing Center on your show. One of the things that we most obviously see with this change in climate or change in weather, if we'd like to say it that way, with storms, is that our beaches erode. Sea turtles use sandy beaches to lay their eggs. So if those sandy beaches are washed away, then that becomes a problem for our sea turtles. Sea turtles are a considered threatened and endangered species, and a lot of that is because where their nesting grounds are in danger of being either unable to be nested upon because there's no sand there, or it's because of pollution, trash, that is in the way. A lot of times people in some areas bring in like their lounge chairs or their beach tents, and they leave them up because they're going to be there all weekend and they want to stake out their spot. Unfortunately, turtles nest and they get tangled up in those items, and it doesn't work for the sea turtle. But we do, like you said, deal with the fibropapillomatosis virus.
It's called FFP for short?
Yes, that's a very big word. So we do abbreviate it. It's called fibropapillomatosis.
Wow.
So we call it FP for short. It is a herpes virus that does affect all species of sea turtles, but specifically our green sea turtles. Scientists believe that most likely these turtles, green turtles specifically, are impacted because of their food source. They are specialized eaters and they eat seagrass and algae, and a lot of the runoff that we produce on land ends up in their food sources and causes them to become ill, and maybe it causes them to express this disease. We do not know how they get it yet, but we are still working toward that and hoping to be able to create a cure instead of being reactive like we are here at the Healing Center. There are 18 facilities statewide throughout the state of Florida, and 8 of them can take sick and injured turtles that have that FP virus. What we do in these facilities are remove those tumors on the outside of their bodies by cutting them off with either a hot cautery loop, or we use a laser to cut them off.
Tell me about this. You just said you do surgery on them, like traditional. You give them like painkiller and then slice them? Is that what you do?
Yes.
Wow.
We do. I don't. Our veterinary team does. So I'm part of the veterinary team.
Okay.
But we have 2 board certified zoo vets that work here at our zoo, and we have a veterinary intern who's learning zoo medicine, and they actually go in and they will remove those tumors. Sometimes the burden of tumors is so heavy on the animal that we end up having to do it in quadrants. Like we might do one front area, or we might do just the rear end on a turtle at the first surgery, and then wait until another time to do the second surgery, or even third.
Okay,
So it just depends.
They tell me not only do you do laser treatments, you also do some cool new age type of kind of treatments, like honey, or like leeches to draw blood out, or maybe even maggots. Is that right?
That is right, and it isn't actually new age. It's been around for a long time. So even back in Egyptian times,
Yeah, I would say it's more like
medicinal.
Right. It's kind of like woo-woo science, and so it's like a throwback. You see people in the medieval movies and middle-aged movies putting leeches on, right? But it works for your turtles?
So bloodletting, it does. So the maggots actually help to clean and debride wounds that maybe would be really difficult to go in and surgically debride, or cause a lot of bleeding if we surgically debrided them. So we use maggots for that.
Wow.
The leeches help often with turtles that have entanglement issues. So a fishing line is wrapped tight around a flipper, we can put the leech on the side of the flipper and help to draw out some of the fluid that's in there, and it will promote circulation and help that flipper heal a little bit faster, hopefully. And then we also use honey as well. We did honey. We do a cold light therapy, which actually helps. It's kind of like going back to school, the mitochondria in the cells, like biology 101. So it helps the mitochondria kind of kick in and start working in those cells, and help to bring a lot of nutrients to the area that needs to be healed.
Do you also take them to local hospitals for care?
We do. Right now, we do not have a CT machine, but we are blessed to have that coming our way. They just laid one of the final pads for it. We're under construction to get that CT machine, but we are lucky to pair with a Stewart Hospital, which is the Rockledge Regional Medical Center, and we are so blessed that they allow us to come in and bring our sea turtles in and other animals in if we need to for CT.
That's awesome. I've never heard of a hospital X-raying sea turtles.
Isn't it great?
Or CTing.
Well, they're CTing, awesome. So it's amazing.
So
the team over there is phenomenal.
Okay, talk to me about what do you feed these turtles? You bring them in from the ocean. What do you feed them?
Right. So what we do here at the Brevard Zoo, and most facilities actually have to kind of change up what they get fed, because every sea turtle is a specialized eater. So our green sea turtles and loggerhead sea turtles are predominantly what we see here. And they're small green turtles that we normally see. So we offer both of them a variety of shrimp, fish, and clams. The clams are already shelled. As our loggerheads start feeling better, then we'll give them the shells as well, because they would eat those in the wild.
Oh, do they really?
And then and then sometimes we end up with sea turtles that might not feel so good. So I do want to share one of my patients with you right now, if I can.
Please show me a turtle. We're running out of time. I want to see a big turtle.
Yeah, this is a wee one. This is not a big one. So this right here is Opal. Opal is only about 2 kilograms. And you can see Opal has, this is a juvenile green sea turtle, and Opal has a little feeding tube right here. So it goes into the side of the mouth. Opal won't eat on their own, so we're having to administer food through the tube.
How old is Opal again? How old is Opal?
Opal, I would have to estimate, but I would think Opal's probably 3 or 4 years old, maybe.
Okay.
Probably. So what we're going to do is Opal's going to receive an injection, and this is called metoclopramide, and it's actually just a quick injection. And what we're doing with this is this turtle unfortunately had a pretty bad infection with or infestation of a protozoan in their GI tract. So what we had to do for this turtle was get rid of those little bugs. We call it, the little wee beasties that were making them not feel so good. And now we're trying to rebuild that GI mucosa or the lining by giving them medication. And it's going to look kind of silly because I'm going to put this little turtle in a burrito wrap. Because I want the turtle to sit up for this. And I'm going to use my hands and use this tube. And we're using something called sulforaphate. And it looks a lot like Pepto-Bismol for turtles and other animals. But so we're going to go ahead and
you're force feeding
it? The tube.
Boom. Oh, it's going in the tube right into it.
I'm not forcing it. It's going right into the tube.
Okay.
And this should help Opal to, it'll coat Opal's stomach a little bit.
Yeah.
But I want Opal to be all the way up. I pushed just a little bit of air through there to let it go through. And now we're going to let Opal kind of sit up and let the gravity do some work.
So
Opal,
how many times a day do you have to do this for Opal?
We are doing this right now 3 times a day for Opal.
Wow.
So Opal needs the nutrition because Opal's not maintaining weight on their own. So we do sit with Opal a few times a day. And we are very blessed here at the Healing Center because we only have 2 paid people who actually are dedicated working with sea turtles. But we have an army of volunteers that help us. And I can't tell you how nice it is to see our sweet volunteers holding this little turtle up for us for 5 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day.
Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap this up now. That is Shannon, our friend from the Brevard Zoo. If you have any questions you'd like to have answered here on Talk to Tom, go to clickorlando.com/talk to Tom. Submit your questions. I'd love to know what you want to know. You can catch us here every Thursday and always streaming on News 6 Plus. And while you're on News 6 Plus, make sure to check out all the other episodes of Talk to Tom, like this one about how natural burials are saving the planet.
The impact that conventional settings have is quite detrimental and can vary in scope. So it can have an immediate effect on the community there, but also in a broader scale, it can definitely have an effect with, say, deforestation of having certain materials be harvested to create such elaborate caskets. The use of embalming fluids, things that are carcinogenic materials that funeral home workers might deal with, cemetery workers might come across, and that might eventually seep into the ground, just poisoning the earth. Same with concrete and metal, other forms of materials that don't really need to be in the ground. So there's definitely a way where, for ourselves, we're trying to limit the impact on the environment. And so we're trying to educate people about all their disposition choices, regardless if they work with us or not. Part of our mission is just to educate people on conventional burial, conservation burial. Now there's a lot of other green options, aquamation, composting. So it's nice to see the green burial movement continue to grow.
And check out this one about how sharks can predict hurricanes.
They basically detect the fall in barometric pressure that is transmitted down through the water column, and they get out of shallow areas knowing that a storm is about to turn their habitat upside down. So it's a fascinating thing. It's how they survive. These smaller sharks, the bigger ones, not so important. They go deep, but they can ride things out close to shore. But the little ones that are in shallow areas, they know when a storm is coming and they get out of harm's way.
In this episode, about how our very own Candace Campos lost her home to a hurricane when she was just a child.
When I finally fell asleep, I found out, interviewing them for a story I did on clickorlando.com, they actually said goodbye to each other. They prayed that I would fall asleep, and if, God forbid, something happened, I wouldn't feel it. And I didn't realize that they officially said their goodbyes, and, it makes me sad to know that they did that. But thankfully, everybody was okay, and our safe room saved our lives, because you opened up that door, it was no more home. It was gone. Furniture was wrapped around siding from neighborhood, from a house blocks away. We had a boat in our front yard. We had no roof. We had no toys. Everything that I owned, everything my parents owned was gone, unless it was in that small half bath.
Man, that story kills me. The part of them sitting there, backs against the wall to hold it up, back against the door to keep it in. Baby Candace trying to go to sleep and saying goodbye. Yeah. It makes me want to cry. I can only imagine what it does to you. It makes I can feel it welling up in me right now. That's such an emotional picture for me. That, having kids, you have kids now. You can just.
Yeah.
I really can't imagine what that must have been.
No,
like.
I mean, and that's why my parents are the ones who watch my kids when I'm here during hurricane season, because my husband's a firefighter, so he's also working during hurricanes. So if there's two people that I know how to make a safe room and survive a hurricane, it's my parents.
Watch every episode of Talk to Tom for free on the new 6 Plus app. Just download it on your smart TV to get started.